for people to follow. So I will definitely do that. All right.
Sweet.
Tommy, Tanner, appreciate you guys being here, and we definitely got to have you back on.
We appreciate you. Thanks for letting us have the opportunity.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, John.
Anytime. Later. You guys take it easy.
Yeah.
All right. So that was people who needed no introduction, but I gave them one anyway. The really cool people from Massonomics, Tommy and Tanner, and I had such a good time having them here on the show. Now, if you guys are watching on the LinkedIn, I want to say it is 8:01. So good morning to those of you in the Mountain Time Zone who are just joining us. Make sure that you don't just join the show and watch. I need you to hit the like button, hit subscribe. And if you're watching on LinkedIn, I need you to follow Garage Gym Life Media on LinkedIn, because I don't want you to miss any of our interviews. We just wrapped up one with Massonomics, but we've got tons of on-location interviews as well that we put on LinkedIn, especially with business thought leaders, little quick 10-minute videos or less, where we just ask them to unpack some of the why behind the things that they do and how their business works and how their business is trying to serve people every day. We've got several on there we just uploaded from HFA. Got a really cool throwback interview with Jason Campbell, president of Surplus Strength, that's going to be dropping this coming Thursday. Right now, though, let's welcome my final guests for the day, Halika Hart and Callum Watson, two of my mobility coaches from Flow Motion Fitness. They have, no joke, been incredibly instrumental in getting me back from the brink of shoulder surgery. And not only did I come back from, I thought I was going to have surgery to be able to function. And they got me back from that to actually being able to squat, bench press, and deadlift pain-free. Even as I'm starting to push numbers in the bench press specifically that are, we're already in the lifetime personal record area. So I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that I do now if they hadn't made it possible for me to do that. So Holly and Colin, I see you guys backstage. I'm going to go ahead and bring you on now if you're ready. And thanks for getting away too early with Garage Gym Life.
Thanks for having us.
Took his hair down. So earlier he had the man bun going, but he said, "Oh no, I'm going to be on the show with John. I gotta."
Yeah.
Oh man.
To go on a run, so
yeah, we just finished a little 6-mile run up at altitude. So yeah.
You guys, you like to have your hair down when you run, so you just kind of like billows back, like a banner when you're running. Is that what's going on here?
It's tucked away.
That's how we're living. Okay. Man, yeah, every time you come on the show, I like to joke and say that what do you call it? Locks of love. Like my viewership from Locks of Love goes up. Anyway, but like I said, you guys are my mobility coaches. I have tried a lot of different apps. I've tried a lot of different things, but you guys have kind of like helped me put myself back together. So I think there's a lot of value. If you're watching right now and you're watching live, what I need you to do, if you want some feedback on, it could be the most random thing that you used to be able to do that you can't do anymore, right? Let's say you're having a problem tying your shoes and you've got video of that. First of all, that's going to be entertaining for me anyway, but go ahead, tag at Garage Gym Life and post the link to it in here in the chat, or you can just say, hey, I just tagged you on Instagram, or I sent you a DM or whatever. I'll go get it. I'll share the screen, and that way they can kind of look at your positioning and everything else and be able to give you a little bit of feedback. And you guys do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
Your Q&As. Other than that,
analyzed anyone's lace tying before, but
today's the day. We break history on this show. You know what's the weirdest human thing, normal human activity that I can't do anymore? And I don't know if it's a mobility thing or if it's that I've just gotten wider, but I have to use a back scratcher because I physically cannot. I mean, I can get back there, but there's a portion of my middle upper back that's just untouchable, right? And so I'm just like, I used to say, well, I need to work on my mobility and all that, but I was like, well, hold on, I'm just wide. I just can't. There's no way I can reach that. So that's one of the things. However, I don't think I've told you guys this because when would it come up in conversation? I can now wash my back in the shower without having to use the external device. So that's progress right there.
That's progress. Yeah.
Hey, look at that. All right. And in fact, we were at a conference, a trade expo in San Diego, and the guy told me to do an RDL. My guy Will, right? He said do an RDL because he wanted to show me how this machine worked, right? I said okay. So I wasn't even thinking about it. I just went ahead and I did it. He said, "Whoa, you're more flexible than I thought." So first of all, I said, "Hold on, I'm not sure if I should be offended or not. What are you trying to say?" Right? I don't look like I can touch my toes. I mean, what's wrong with you? But to me, the big thing is, it's not something I had to like warm up and organize myself and get my system ready and say, okay, let's breathe and breathe, brace. Okay, I didn't have to do all that. I just did it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest value of working with you guys. The kind of stuff I can do without having to go through this huge warm up process before. And I don't think that people see that benefit of mobility work, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, cold mobility, like being able to just bust a move or get into a.
Oh wow, okay. Young MC. Okay.
Well, sometimes like we'll be like, right, there's a photo op, let's go. Like there's like this cool place we want to like do something on, and I'll be like, right, Callum, just do a sissy squat. And you're like, damn it. So like you go and do it, and it's just like we couldn't do that before. I mean, without warming up.
Yeah, and so I think that people sometimes think, when it's like mobility work, they think about how much it's going to take away. Like I don't have time for all that, right? Mm-hmm. But I think of it more like, well, sure, but it's going to add a lot of things to your life that, in terms of giving you back some abilities that you didn't have before. Now, there's something that I did not on purpose post in there while I'm waiting for people to ask questions and all that, is a nice little segment that I decide I'm going to do anytime I have someone on who's in the mobility space. And that is what led to this picture. Okay. Yeah. Because I see some of the stuff y'all do. And I just said, and I don't think I've ever been in a place where this was going to happen. So let's go ahead and let's just pull this one up and just say, what led to this?
Oh, that.
That was
a photo shoot.
That was our first ever photo shoot as a couple. And that was when
our first website.
Yeah, for our first
How did you
website.
How'd you build that? You're like, okay, did you guys just come up with that, or did the photographer say, okay, can you put your feet on his head and but don't face the same direction? I mean, like, okay.
Yeah, the photographer, like, they were into training. Like we
actually coached them.
Yeah, they were our clients.
Okay. So they knew you could do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were putting us in all kinds of weird positions. Like, Callum, there's a scaffolding over there. Like,
go jump on it.
Go and do a lever on it.
Yeah. Well, Hallie, go put yourself on that wall.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Okay. So
that
I mean, and I like it because it says, if your shoulders are causing you problems or they're hurting now, don't shrug it off. I'm like, okay. So, or you could just get down. Okay.
That is very old, but I remember really like taking
2018.
Yeah,
wow.
We used to taking like a bit of kit and just training in a park and being outside.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you just went ahead. So you went through the entire thing where you went through. I forgot what that's called.
German hack.
Yeah.
And you just went ahead and did. Okay.
Skin the cat,
we used to
skin the cat. Yeah, skin the cat.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No. I don't trust me. I've got more because I was like, what led to this? I'm trying to get to my favorite one. It's down here because
these are all our old original very first posts back in 2018.
I tried to tell you.
On Facebook.
Huh.
Yep. Yeah, I told you guys. So this is when I was trying to find a good thumbnail photo, and this one definitely.
Yeah, that's my client. Actually,
I was like, that's not gonna.
So
how long did you guys work with this person before they agreed to do this?
I actually worked for her for about maybe a year or two. She was like so much fun. I literally I swear I got abs just from laughing with her.
What was her name?
Michelle.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is amazing because I know, I have friends I'm really, fairly close with. I don't think I ever am going to be in that position with really
client relationship that I built there.
I see that was the one that I was like, okay. How'd this happen? And how did you get out of that? almost as noteworthy as that.
Oh, are we back?
Yeah, just in time.
Sorry.
You're back.
Yeah.
No, that's okay because you're just in back. You're back just in time to see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's some crazy hip flexibility.
Yeah.
Especially on the hard floor.
Yeah.
Well, look, we used to like basically dedicate a decent 20 minutes of the session to play around with like acro yoga is what it was called back then. It's like yoga, but like acrobatic yoga, where you'd like pick people up. Like there'll be one somewhere here where I used to do it for hours with some other clients just because like they enjoyed it. It was fun. It was hard. Yeah, basically lifting people up and getting into funny.
I want to know how your feet are facing out.
Hip rotation.
That's a mad knee.
None of that looks comfortable. I'm just saying, especially not on the hard floor. I was just like,
it wasn't too bad, that one. I think it was probably actually worse for her.
Okay. I've decided not to believe that, but sure, okay. Now the part of the reason, I mean, that was fun and all that, but part of the reason why I brought that up is because a lot of times when people think mobility work, they assume they're gonna be doing like that.
Yeah,
stuff. And first of all, most people can't even get in that position, right? So that's what they always say. So, I'd die if I try to get, in that kind of position.
Not necessary. That's like extreme.
Yeah.
But what's actually like what I started out doing with you is like simple like quad stretches and like simple stuff that you would do. You go to track practice and like stand there and do a standing quad stretch or a runner stretch or whatever. Those are like some of the foundational things I did. So when you're first meeting somebody, meeting them, because you coach so many people online, do you have to get past that? Like where you're like, people are like, okay, I know I need something, but they start explaining to you all the stuff they can't do because they're trying to make sure you don't try to get them.
Oh yeah.
Bend like a pretzel.
The consultation process is really extensive that we do. Like we'll give them like the assessments to do.
So they froze again. Apologies if they freeze because Holly and Colin are actually on the mountains in France, and there's apparently a snowstorm going on where they are. So I'll go ahead and they just dropped off for a second. They'll be right back. But so there's a snowstorm going on where they live, and so their internet connection, Starlink, may betray them for a second, but they'll be right back. Just bear with us. And there they are. All right. No, that's okay. I was just explaining to them that you guys are on a mountain in a snowstorm trying to use a satellite link up.
Yeah.
And okay. But so the onboarding process is extensive.
Quite extensive. Yeah. The conversation usually lasts about an hour. And we go through all the results of the joint assessment. So it's individual joints and it's functional movement screens. And then if there's any specific issues, we'll go deeper with specific muscles that we can test. So there's a lot of testing in the beginning, a lot of discussion into what they're feeling, what sports they used to do, what injuries they used to have, even back to like, because it all is relevant. And then, they'll also tell us what they can't do right now because that's relevant, or specific sensations they have. And we always explain that it's a process because mobility training is not as fast as bodybuilding or building muscle.
I think people that come to us as well, they kind of know what to expect in terms of training because they follow us.
Like, okay, so this is a good point for you guys to if you guys want to put some comments in the
there we go.
Yeah.
In the chat for Holly and Colin. Go ahead and start putting your comments in there and your questions, and they'll go ahead and answer them. So you said people come to you and they follow you probably on Instagram, social media in general, so they know.
Yeah, so they're not like, we're not like really sharing that stuff you showed earlier, like the poses and stuff. We don't really, that we did back in the day, Hallie especially. But nowadays, like you've seen what we post on Instagram, most of it is like, most of the mobility work we do looks like strength training.
Yeah.
That's because it is strength training, Callum.
Exactly.
Tell me, because I mean, I will also say too that one of the things that I'll go ahead and I'll pull up one of your videos that I was actually watching this morning that I think was really a good one where you're talking about the squat. But you guys have regressions. So you say, okay, well, this is what I'm doing here, but there are
Yeah.
also regressions. You don't have to start with this. And in
Yeah.
fact, you say, don't start with what I'm
Please don't.
doing.
Yeah.
Don't start with that. But do you feel like, you said you guys were doing that in the beginning, do you feel like, or did you feel like you had to do that to kind of prove that I need to prove I'm mobile before you'll trust me?
I mean, funnily enough, we were never really looking to niche down into mobility. We were into, sports rehab in the beginning. We had a lot of athletes.
Okay.
It was just fun. Like, we just enjoyed it. And I think it naturally came about because we were both got into this because of injuries. And we
Right.
both kind of took it further and further and further and started getting really obsessed with what can we actually do? If we can gain
Right.
mobility back to pre-injury, can we just keep going?
Yeah.
And so we just kept going.
I think a lot of the things that look good on Instagram, they're actually really fun goals to aim for as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Okay.
I always wanted to be able to do the sissy squat the first time I done it. So
Okay.
the diagonal stretch, I always wanted to be able to do the diagonal stretch. So they're quite cool skills to like develop, and they just so happen to be amazing for your mobility as well. So you get to train something that you enjoy doing, but it's also highly beneficial in terms of like improving your strength and your range of motion.
And they have like massive carryover effects. Like when I learned like this martial arts isometric kick, and kept learning it over lockdown. And then when we went skiing, I almost fell, but I caught myself in the kick and I got myself back up, and I realized, oh, I can ski on one leg with the other leg up here. It's crazy. Where did that come from? That was only from obviously the skill that I'd worked on.
Oh, hold on a second here. We're gonna stop sharing because did you just say you were skiing on one leg with your foot in the air?
Yeah, if you go into my Reels section, you'll find it. It's like I posted it the other day.
Yeah.
The okay, you've got footage of yourself skiing with just one leg.
And I figured that out by mistake because I fell into it essentially. I was like,
not on that recording.
No, not on that recording.
But yeah.
But I discovered I could do it just because it was a weird thing I did to save myself.
Wow. Okay. I think that what I find interesting is like when people see your videos, or especially the one where you're doing like the side bends, and people are saying, and you have the thing where you say, okay, I was told never to load my spine, never do this and all that. And I find that when I'm doing the exercises that you guys program to address issues, a lot of times people say, oh, well, if you do that, you'll get hurt. Like that's the cure for the problem. But it's like people see it in like some of it is fear culture. But people are like, oh no, if you do that, don't be careful, you'll get hurt. My favorite is when they say you'll get hurt when you're older.
Yeah.
Right. Which I find hilarious because I'm 52. And I'm like, I'm actually, in some ways, my mobility is better than in a lot of ways, it's better than when I was 32. It's not better than when I was 22, but it's better than when I was 32, because when I was 22, I was doing martial arts. I was like, dropping into a pancake for no reason. And what's the big deal? I understand now. But yeah, I just think that there's a little bit of fear culture where people don't want you to do the things that, like, they're so afraid you'll get hurt. They're afraid of even the stuff that's going to fix you. If that makes sense. You guys have to deal with that.
A lot of it is because they see it and they know their body would be in pain to do it. Because I relate in a way, because when my back was so bad in the beginning of my injury, I'd look at things and I'd literally get shivers and like freak out by looking at them and be like, oh, I can't do that. So I reckon it could be where people have like restrictions or pain, and you found
there we
it.
go.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, okay, there we go.
Yeah, it was by mistake, but that was literally just because I was learning that mobility thing separately.
There's no way I could do that. No way.
Well, I think that's interesting too, because people just assume, oh, you're mobile, so you can do everything.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys are the ones who told me there are ranges of mobility, and also, aren't you hypermobile, Holly?
Well,
in some areas.
Closer to, like, I'm not fully like.
You're not diagnosed.
A super hypermobile person, their thumb would go like here, and their skin I'm not that hypermobile, but I'm not like super stiff like some people.
Yeah.
Like he's like
like I
super
am.
like his tissue is quite stiff, whereas mine's a little bit more
Right.
bendy. So it does change the way that you train a little bit, but it actually hypermobile people do get stiff, and through injury they can get very, very stiff and in a lot more pain than someone who say doesn't have that tissue type. So it's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of it that people use that as the excuse for not doing mobility work, because they're like, well, you can be too mobile because then you'll get hurt. Like they put under, you put a squat bar on your back, for example, and you try to squat, and then everything just kind of like you turn into jello or something.
So that's why it's so important for them to do end range strength training, which is part of mobility training. And if they don't do mobility training, essentially they don't have control of their mobility. They just basically have the range but no control. So that's where the danger comes in.
Okay. How tough is it to coach clients in different time zones, and with like you've got the issue right now with the snowstorm?
Okay, so that's not great when we're having a live call, but we don't have a snowstorm. But we did have.
Well, do you have any issues with people uploading stuff like, oh, I couldn't get it to upload? It's that kind of thing.
Rarely. I mean, that's why we have a backup. So for on our online coaching, we've got like they can upload all their stuff to True Coach that we can review. But if it doesn't work, they just send it via WhatsApp, which is always pretty much foolproof.
Okay. So one of the things that we had to work through, and I think that there's one of those. It's I'm trying to like go through all of the things that cause people to hesitate about mobility coaching, and I know at least one person who was watching, Letha, was talking about she wants to start doing this with her clients. So, Letha, if you're still watching, you have any questions about how to get started doing this with your clients, feel free to ask whatever you want about it. But when we started working together, there was like like any kind of coach relationship, it was like we had to like kind of like figure out what not only my goals were, but also the big thing for me was the available time. Because I would say, well, so we did the assessment. You say, okay, well, this is what you need. And then I'm like, all right, but I'm still trying to do my normal training. And I still remember like you guys sent me the thing and said, okay, here, do this as the warm up, do your normal training, and then we'll take over from here, right? Well, powerlifting training takes a long time because you rest a little bit longer between sets. And I still remember I was like, this is taking me like 2.5 hours to do. I don't have time. And you like, it only takes me like, 45 minutes to an hour at most. And I was like, yeah, but there's this piece in the middle that I guess you don't understand that I'm doing, right? And so then we worked, through it. And where we are now, and I think this is important for people to understand it, is where we are now is we kind of like make priorities. You guys say, okay, well, what's your priority now? What is the thing you're working on now? This is gonna, so like right now I'm working on increasing my bench press. So some of the other things have to go into maintenance mode, which means it's gonna slow me down ultimately in how quickly I can get to, I don't know, the reverse or the natural leg extension, right? But it's like a give and take. So how do you guys, I know you probably have to do it in your own training. How do you balance that with yourselves? Like, okay, I'm getting ready to go skiing, and that's the most important thing for me. Do you put other things on the back burner, or how do you balance that out?
Yeah, for sure.
I think I always think of mobility work as like a supplement to what I'm already doing. So all the main stuff that I do, like the strength training, the running, the skiing, I do the mobility training on top of it just to keep my joints healthy and just to keep me pain-free and able to do those other things. So if I start realizing in my weightlifting that I'm spending a lot of time doing overhead press and I'm spending a lot of time doing bench press, and I tend to like get a little bit tighter in shoulder internal rotation, I can feel those restrictions creeping in, because naturally it does, especially when that area becomes fatigued. I just think, well, what do I need to supplement into my training mobility wise in order to make this issue disappear, make it not become a problem long term? So it might just be one extra set of shoulder internal rotation, session. But if that's the case and you're just trying to make up lost mobility work, then you can just add a little mobility session, 20 minutes at any point throughout your day just to get it in.
Yeah, and it also depends on the level of how far you've been mobility training, because you've been mobility training for like a decade or more. So you can kind of like get away with a little less. Whereas when you're in the beginning of a journey and someone's in a lot of pain, you kind of have to prioritize that a little bit more if the ranges are really and there's like a lot of pain, or like you're trying to avoid surgery. So then it's a bit more important. And then as you move forward, you can blend it in different ways. So in the beginning, we would put it at the end of your session with your active work so that it didn't impact your lifting. But as you're getting better and better with mobility, eventually we can probably put more of the active work in your warm up, basically 2 birds with one stone. And then eventually you'll be doing less time of it overall.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's like, then it becomes, okay, make sure I can still do this. Make sure I still have this range. Make sure this is there. Use this to, so going back with the bench press, and even with squats, I find that if I have a little bit of a pump in my rear delts and my external rotators, then it's better for me on the bench, and it's definitely good for me on the squat, because if I'm like tight back here, like it wants to pull me back, well, that helps me get under the bar.
Opening up that shoulder external rotation, is that what you mean? Activating the rear
delt? It's like I get my rear delts like to get, you know how like you get a bicep pump, it's hard to straighten your arm. So the same principle is like, well, just get a pump back there and it's going to automatically pull it back in position.
Exactly.
To counteract other sports. So say like, you know, your client's going skiing for 2 weeks. You know, skiing is going to impact their hip flexors, the popliteus muscle at the back of the leg, because they're not going to be straightening
their lower back.
Like their lower back. You know that they're going to need to do some extra work on that area. And things like, say they know how to carve, they are not going to need to use hip internal rotation exercises for that time. So you could chuck that out. And then you can put in stuff that their body isn't doing so that they don't feel the pain. Because a lot of people complain their knees start hurting, their back start hurting when they go skiing. So, you know, there's ways around that.
So we got Carlos. Carlos is about a month or two, I think, younger than me. So he's also 52. He says, I was just talking about my standing press being trash in one of your videos, John. This may be what I need to do. So in terms of that, you may need to do mobility work. Yes. I don't think it's a may. I think and I want you guys to chime in on this, but from talking to you guys, one of the things that's in my head now is, or I'm conscious of, is everybody does mobility work. It's just a matter of, just like people say, well, I don't like to stretch. Well, I'm sitting down right now, so I'm stretching. It's just, so some parts of me are being shortened because I'm sitting. Other parts are being overstretched. We just don't think about it because it's like, oh, well, it's not uncomfortable because you're used to sitting in a chair. So I will add to Carlos drives a lot for his work, for his job. So now you're starting to see like how his shoulder is a little bit forward. So if you see him, and I'll try to pull up a video. If you have any videos of yourself, I don't know if you're in position to be able to do this, Carlos, but if you have any videos of yourself doing a standing press that you can share, that'll help. But if not, at least just show something where you're like, where we can see you from the side. That way they can kind of get an idea of what you're looking like. Then that'll help out a lot, because that'll allow them to give you a little bit more specific feedback. But as far as the whole stretching thing, like, and you know, everybody needs to be do some sort of mobility work. What do you guys say about that?
You just cut out. I'm so sorry.
Just
that's
the
okay.
End there, Kyle.
Says, what do you guys say about the notion that everybody needs to do some sort of mobility work of some kind?
I'd say in our modern world, there'll be certain joints that don't work in certain ranges. So for example, you could easily be not doing hip internal rotation, shoulder internal rotation, shoulder external rotation.
We'll come back.
Sorry.
There we go.
It's okay.
There's a few joints that are very traditionally not trained with traditional training as much. So those are like the main things that I would like, you know, look at. But then with certain sports or certain occupations, you'll have certain things working overtime and other things not working at all. So yeah, I'd say to a degree, there'll be imbalances in absolutely everyone. And I know that after, if say we went skiing for 3 months once, I know that we had things to fix after that, especially when we had, we used to do one specific journey. So we were going one way on one leg. So we basically our hip rotation per side. And that gave us a nice little imbalance. And that gave me actual pelvic tilt and stuff. So I was squatting sideways. So these things happen. You're a surfer, you're a windsurfer, you do different sports. You cycle a lot, your hip flexors start getting tighter. If you aren't aware of mobility training or joint function, then that can be really mystifying. What am I supposed to do? It's just feeling strange.
Right.
That's one of the freebies we actually just made is a 4-day hip mobility freebie where we talk about the main areas that can be culprits in discomfort and limitations. We
see if I can find that free
hip rotation and adductors, and then in every day we kind of go over the anatomy, the function, a bit of science behind it, what the studies say, and a little self-test and program, so it can kind of just get people to sort of understand oh, there's a lot to this actually.
Yeah. We don't tell everyone that they need to do mobility because we don't know everyone. Some people might be covering everything in their training. Their training might be so mixed if they're mixed martial artists, gymnasts, rock climbers. They've got
dancers. They have a lot of variety.
They have a lot of variety, and often their mobility is quite good. But I would say that if you're someone who is lifting weights, or maybe you're not even training, but as you're getting older, you're noticing that you're just less able to do the things that you used to be able to do when you were younger. So, certain movements are a little bit more restricted, or maybe just getting from point A to point B is becoming a little bit harder, and sitting on the ground is a little bit more uncomfortable, or you notice that, when you're sat down on the laptop or you're watching television that you're feeling aches and pains. Those are all things that people, they think it's to do with their age, but it's actually completely to do with your age. It's more to do with the fact that you're just not doing anything to maintain that mobility of your youth. We're all born quite mobile. I think all of us can remember when we were younger being able to do a skin the cat. All kids
play around on the jungle gym.
And the only reason we lose that ability is because we stop doing it. That's the only reason. It's not because we're getting older. And I think that's the misconception in the world that I'm getting old, my joints are degrading and all of this. But it's the reason we train is to stop that natural decline that does occur.
Absolutely.
So I'll say with the mixed martial arts thing, I remember when I was training all the time especially with other people, I was very mobile in certain areas. So that's the thing, is you end up with, so to the average person, you're oh, you're so flexible, you're so limber, right? Because they look at the things that you can do that they can't do. But just for example, that's when I first started having issues with my shoulders, because we were in this position all the time. And so I'll have to turn so you can see my neck that's when my neck started to tilt, because so I'm turning so you can see it, because if you're straight on, see I'm exposed. So you end up like this, and you turn this up. So you're putting your chin into the pocket here. You see how my neck is tilted? So then you're spinning. So you're spinning. So you put your chin forward. You're like this, right? So you're spending a lot of time in this position. Well, then you're like this. And you don't realize it. But to most people, they're like, oh, because you can touch your toes, you can do all this other stuff. Oh, you're very limber. And so I think when you do something like that, especially where you're going to get hit in the head, if you don't move your head out of the way, you end up with compensations. And so I think even they need, in that situation, you just need to figure out what are the other things. What do I specifically need to address? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because not everyone has to do everything. It's specific.
Right. So we have, so we're still waiting for Carlos's video, but Jared's very, very strong in the overhead press. He says, speaking of overhead press and bench pressing, should my shoulders be popping or clicking much? There's no pain, but occasionally I get some noise from the joint.
It's fairly normal, yeah, and it's a good sign that there's no pain. But what I've noticed is, Hallie will probably agree with this, is as your joint mobility improves, like the rotation, as you create more space inside the joint capsule for it to rotate, you get less of that kind of popping sensation, just because things are opening up and giving you more range of motion. When it's quite tight, and you haven't really mobilized the joint, I feel like you can get a lot more, tendons sort of moving over each other, causes a snapping sensation. It can be uncomfortable over time. But yeah, if he's not getting pain, it's not necessarily, it's a good sign. It's not necessarily anything to worry about. He might even notice that it's not happening by the end of the session, because as he warms up and he mobilizes, it disappears. And if that's happening, then that's very normal.
Okay. That's why I told Nail, my wife, whenever she saw, I was telling you guys earlier that once everything relaxes, my clavicle relaxes as I get into the squat bar, it actually pops. And so one side will pop because it's released, and then the other side will pop up like, good. And then the bar will go down this much further on my back.
Wow.
Because otherwise it's like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not this bad, but that's basically what's happening. So then so then they open up and everything opens back up, and then they just pop. And I'm like, good. I can put
Is that your thoracic spine? You feel like your thoracic?
No, it's here.
Oh, your shoulders. Wow.
Yeah. It's like my clavicle feels like it just like pop. Good.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then it just opens back up. But I was telling you guys that you saved me money, because the normal recommendation when you have that issue in powerlifting, you start having elbow pain because your shoulders are tight and you're asking your elbows to do what your shoulders are supposed to be doing. Yeah. You start having elbow pain. They tell you just buy some elbow sleeves, and then you start out with single ply, then you go to double ply, then 3-ply, and just get the thicker and thicker sleeves. And it's like, but you just need to just get this back. And I haven't had to use my elbow sleeves in years.
Amazing.
Definitely since I started working with you guys. Like,
is that literally why powerlifters use the elbow sleeves? Are they starting to experience? There's no other reason for that. They literally, wow.
Because you can't use them. So if you're bench pressing equipped, then yes, you can have them on. But even then, they'll wrap their elbows with knee wraps. I know this sounds horrifying to you, but you wrap your elbows with knee wraps to give you some more rebound. But if you're competing raw, you're not allowed to have elbow sleeves on when you're bench pressing. And you definitely can't have them on when you're deadlifting. Yeah. So it's like, why would you have them on when you only see them wearing them when you squat?
Yeah.
And it's because your elbows are on fire, because you're like this. You're like this, trying to get under the squat bar, trying to put it back here, and you can't. So your elbows want to be like this, but so you want to be like this, but your elbows want to be like that. I mean, your shoulders want to be like that. So you're forcing yourself under the bar, wedging. They even call it wedge yourself under the bar.
Wedge
under the bar, and then it's got to go somewhere, and it goes into your elbows. So that's it.
Great.
We need to be coaching powerlifters more.
I try to tell you, because there are ways to do it and still be able to perform. And the fear we have is physical therapists and people like that are trying to make us weak. Yeah. And that's one of the things we want to get away from. So Letha, I mentioned her earlier. She said, I typed this earlier, but I don't know why it disappeared. In working with women, primarily 35 plus, I often hear I'm so-and-so years old, so I can't, with various movements or exercises. And she wants to know, how would you address that in your program, and what advice do you have for being training clients who've already decided they can't do what you're asking them to do, or that you've programmed for them to do?
I think that just is like a mindset issue, and you've just got to teach them that the positions that they're scared of, that you've got to build confidence in those movements or those positions, because quite often people avoid movements because they think that it's high risk and it's going to cause injury. Like Jefferson curl, rounding your spine, is a perfect example. People are like, I've hurt my back rounding my spine before, so I'm not going to load it up and do it now in my training because that's high risk. But in actual fact, it's more high risk if you don't do it. And the reason you probably got injured doing it is because you didn't train it. So quite often people will hurt themselves with a rounded back. That will be because they're not strong in that position. So with mobility training, we're just teaching people to get strong in that position so that it builds confidence in them. And it's just about taking them slowly through the process, using the right progressions to get them to a point where they feel
yeah,
whatever they're scared of, you gradually get them to it. Don't
might help. I don't know this person's done any equivalent certification, but in our certifications, we teach our coaches to do joint assessments with their clients and from movement screen. So then you can know exactly what joint range of motion is limited by how many degrees. So you can match the exercise exactly to that and then say to the person, okay, so we've done the test. We know that you have control up to this range and we're going to start at this range and then we're going to meet you where you're at and we're going to bridge the gap slowly. That's also why we've done the mobility and strength certification too, which is the follow-on, because it then shows you how to use those assessments and programming methods to then blend it with conventional training and even advanced weightlifting exercises like Jefferson curls and Cossack squats and sissy squats. Because once you know the assessments and where your client's at, you can literally take them where they're at, no further. So you're not doing anything scary then, because you're just doing what
you're meeting them where they are.
Can do.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you're slowly building on that end range capacity until they can do a Jefferson curl, until they can do a sissy squat. And so if your client's kind of scared, then I feel like the tests are really important, not only just for you as a coach to be like, yes, that's definitely right, but like for them to be like, okay, it's been tested and right, this is the angle that we're starting at. And it's the same thing I just controlled myself into. It's not too scary.
Yeah.
I'll say another one that I think is a great example, and this is for me, is what's that? When any kind of heels elevated squat, where your heels are elevated on purpose, like the cyclist squat or something like that, right? Or skier squat, because that hurts my knees. Yeah. Right. And it's actually the same ish angle if I'm going downstairs. Okay. So going downstairs, whenever you like, I think a lot of people will figure that, like, you just relate to it, even if you don't have knee pain. Think about going down the steps after a heavy leg day, where your legs are really sore. You don't really go down the stairs slowly. You know, you kind of, you take a step and you kind of like fall a little bit, let yourself fall and then go fall and fall. Because if you take your time going down, your knees are throbbing if you're holding that position, right? So then when you tell me, hey, do a skier squat with my heels elevated on a slant board, now I'm in that position where it hurts a lot longer. And I'm like, you're insane. Is this can't be the plan, you know? Like, and then I'm like, what do you mean, you know? But it made sense to me when you're like, no, it hurts because it's weak. We have to strengthen it and kind of like desensitize it almost to that. I said, okay, because that scares you.
Yeah.
Because you've mentioned a couple of different programs you guys have, and I said I wanted to look at your YouTube channel to just show people. And by the way, this is co-live streaming on Flow Motion Fitness YouTube channel. So if you see a subscribe button and you're watching my channel and you're like, well, I'm already subscribed to Garage Gym Life, click subscribe anyway, because that'll subscribe you to Holly and Colin and vice versa. That way you guys don't miss any of the content. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share the screen and show people what you have on your YouTube channel, because that's where you guys have like some sample programs so people can get an idea of what it's like to use your app, and then we can talk about the app. So you mentioned the hip mobility challenge, so I'll go ahead and I'll pull that up right there. I have the sound off, but this is one of the freebies you were talking about. If you want to talk a little bit through this one, you can.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we just wanted to help people understand what's behind mobility training and how it's more to do with joint function, because quite often it'll be like, oh, well, these dynamic stretches and this kind of thing is mobility training. It's a very confusing thing online because it's hard to explain it. And so therefore I've explained it in a little bit more detail as to what exactly the joint functions are, what muscles relate to those joint functions, what angles you're looking at, like a little self-test you can do at home. Obviously it's not extensive, but it's something to try. And then also what we're about, obviously, because we have 4 CPT certifications now and we're teaching coaches basically about this stuff. We wanted to add in a little bit of science so that they can understand there's actually quite a lot of studies proving connections with mobility training and how beneficial it can be for certain things. So I
Right.
just added a little bit in there to kind of give them an idea of that. And then it finishes up with a sample program that they can
Okay.
try on the app so that they can kind of get an idea of how, not just like the theory and the science, but they can actually just practice and do it and kind of get how a whole mobility session is so much more than what you see on Instagram, really.
And this is one reason why I like YouTube for this kind of stuff, because you have a huge library. People are seeing all the videos you guys have here. And this is filter, you can filter by latest, by popular, by oldest. But you guys also, I think you have playlists. Yeah. So you have playlists, like you have your hip mobility video playlist. You've got overhead mobility, follow along training. And this is kind of what people can get on the app. So while I have started paying for the app since day one, I'm like, oh, this is perfect, exactly what I need. If you guys are watching and you're not sure if this is for you, this is a good place to go. Just go to their YouTube channel, find the playlist that fits whatever your thing is that you want to improve, and just see if, and then follow along with it and see if it's for you. But let's say somebody is just like tight, like they're like, okay, well, I just in general don't, I just know I'm tight. Where would you suggest that they start if they don't have like a specific thing, like they're not working through an injury, or like Carlos was talking about his shoulders? If there's somebody who's just generally like, well, I just want to get in better, I want to have better mobility, where would you suggest they start on your channel? It looks like we froze again. I'll just ask them that when they come back. But as I said, this is actually a good time for me to go ahead and run this across again.
Yeah.
That's his point. Like.
Are we back?
Yeah,
sorry.
you're back.
Yeah.
So I just said, so if somebody doesn't have any specific thing that they want to work on, they just know they want to become more mobile in general, where would you suggest they start if they go to your YouTube channel? Is there a specific playlist?
There we are.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, so there's two different ways that you could just start generally. Is the first thing is obviously just go to the app and get a free trial, and then just test out
Okay.
what works for you, because we've got lots of options on there. So we've got self-testing,
Okay.
at least you can get a rough idea.
Okay.
And there's short sessions and full programs. And actually I recently made one specifically for you, John, because you said you wanted something for powerlifting, so I made one specifically for that.
Yep.
But we have so many different programs on there. And then if you're like kind of beginning, maybe start with the short sessions, and then the full programs are blended mobility and strength.
Okay.
But if you're not sure where to start, genuinely the best place to start is a joint assessment. And
Okay.
it's not expensive. We specifically made it a low price point so that everyone can get access to this, because it's the most important information that you need to know what to do with later, essentially. So yeah, if you can't get a joint assessment with us, then what I would say is just sort of try the free trial on the app, and
Okay.
sort of have a little go at the short sessions, do the little self-testing that there's available. And then if you're ready for a full mobility and strength session, you could start there. And it does have levels. So we actually explain whether it's like for beginners or intermediate or advanced on each program.
Okay. So these are some of your programs here that are on your website.
Yes, that's completely different to our app.
Yeah. So I showed the app earlier while you were talking about it.
Oh, cool.
But this is stuff that's on your website for people to check out if they want to kind of try this stuff. But what I asked earlier was about your YouTube channel, because you have stuff that's on there that kind of gives people like a little starting point. So my favorite is the follow along playlist that's actually just called Follow Along.
Oh, we
And
should add, really,
Yeah.
shouldn't we? Yeah.
I didn't, honestly, until you said you guys have playlists, I didn't even know we had
Every
playlists.
time I upload, I'll put something onto a playlist. But
Well, it's been putting it into a playlist behind your back then, or somebody
I
has been,
think we need to.
because so you've got
update that.
so you've got your play. So see that's what it's showing right here. So it's like it shows warm-ups,
yeah.
quads, and hip flexors. So somebody organized it behind your back, and so when you
think
find out who
Alan
it is, tell them
a
thank you.
while back.
Yeah.
But you've got, like, just for example, you've got over 191 videos just under mobility and stability exercises. So you got
Wow.
like Jefferson curl and all that. And I think some of this stuff is important because a lot of times people see the Instagram challenges and like, oh, I wonder if I can do that. So then they go try the thing, hurt themselves, and then they're like, the exercise must be bad.
Yeah.
exactly.
When you could actually, there are ways to learn how to do stuff so that you don't hurt yourself, so that you can get that Zercher PR or whatever without
Yeah.
hurting yourself, you know?
Yeah, cool.
Let's see here. Oh, and Carlos said prayers go out to you guys because he's having amazingly clear weather in Houston.
It seems to just be following us this winter. We had like
Yeah, it was flooding in Spain. You went to France, now it's snowstorms.
yeah.
I feel like it's probably
Europe
you.
is getting storms.
I feel like it's you. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's me.
Let's see here. You guys mentioned that you offer your own certifications, more than one. But where did you guys go when you were starting out to gain your information, like to educate yourselves?
When we first started, like we were quite lucky in that the gym we were working in had like an education sort of thing with it.
Like
So
a,
we got
like a program where they
Yeah.
bring in people to teach you kettlebell stuff.
So we basically paid a lot of gym rent, and that was apparently because we got lots of education with it. So we were happy to pay for this expensive gym rent just to get extra education. That was nice.
It was on nutrition and stuff like that.
Loads
It
and lots of
wasn't just
different
mobility
things.
stuff.
And then later, I really got into mobility training as I was rehabilitating my back. It first started with books and studies, and because I used to be an academic researcher, I would just read a lot of studies anyway. So I got really interested in that, and Callum was interested in it as well. And then I did a mobility and rehab certification in London in 2017 or 2018 or something like that. We'd already done so many courses by that point, and when I did it, I was like, I love this. It was so good. I loved the way it was put together. But there was so many things I wish it would have had extra in it.
Yeah.
And like basically that got me thinking, maybe I should make my own one of these, because I was thinking of writing a book at the time to put it all together. But I was like, it needs videos, it needs expressions, it needs like interactive worksheets and stuff.
Sure.
So it kind of just like started in my brain, and it was like an obsessive thought for like 5-6 years. And we started making it, and in the meantime you did FRC as well. And we just continued reading like a lot.
FMS, like by Gray Cook.
Okay.
My first initial sort of introduction to mobility training probably was through Hallie, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when we first met, I was like still really affected by my back injury. I couldn't even walk properly.
Okay.
So
that's completely not how I thought you guys met. I just assumed that he was like walking by one day, like, putting his hair in a bun, and you were like bent back into some impossible position, and he's like, I like to bend myself up like that too. And then next thing you know, it's like we're meant for each other. That's what I really thought.
Like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're back.
10 seconds.
That's all right. That's okay, because you got a subscriber to your channel while you were gone.
Awesome.
So
Thank
you.
I
I literally thought that you guys just met each other and you were both somehow bent back like paper clips and decided you were meant for each other, and that's what happened.
Callum couldn't even stretch his hamstring at all.
I was completely immobile, but I was young and I didn't realize. Like all I was interested in was building muscle and getting strong.
Oh wow.
And then I met Hallie, and she had me doing Bulgarian split squats and full
I first
range of
had to
motion.
test if this guy was going to keep up with me skiing. So I was like, great, we're doing a 5-hour leg day with exercises that I physically could do at the time. But that was a while into our relationship. I think in the beginning when we first went on our first date, we went on a walk, and I couldn't really walk back. Like I had a flare up.
Wow.
And it was kind of really embarrassing, because I was like, okay, we've gone too far. It was only 20 minutes, and I couldn't really walk back properly. So that was
because of your car accident.
Yeah, my nerve would randomly flare up.
Yeah.
At any point, so I'd be walking along, and then suddenly, I can't walk anymore.
Right. But I think that's important because people see you guys now, and they're like, "Oh, you must have always been whatever." And the reality is that if people take the time to research your story, and in your case, Hallie, it doesn't take long. Just look on Instagram. You've got the post where you say this is where I came from, and I think it's important that you keep on reposting that and you pin it because
Yeah.
people can understand. Oh, okay, I can. If she could do that, go to where you can't even walk for 20 minutes without being in pain, to where you are now. That it's just a process that they can also follow as well.
Yeah.
Basically, when we first met, we were both incredibly not mobile.
Yeah, and in pain actually.
And in
You were
a lot of
yeah. So Carlos said relationship goals. I'm telling you, it's like I think that's one of the things too that you guys I like about your relationship. Naomi and I talk about it sometimes. Like that you guys push each other, and I love how you guys support each other. So this is a good time to talk about goals because you each have your goals that you want to do. So as we're closing up, you said that you have each of you has some big goals for the year. So what are your goals for 2026?
You want me to?
I'll go first
Yeah,
then.
you start.
Yeah. So I recently got into running. Well, recently, I say probably about a year ago, started running, started taking it seriously. So I've been trying to mix that with my mobility training and my strength training, which has been hard to do it all, but I've managed to find a good balance between it now. My goal is to run a sub 3-hour marathon. I've got my first ever marathon at age 37 in Lake Garda on the 12th of April.
Okay.
Not going to run a sub 3 just yet.
I like how he said age 37, like that's old.
Yeah. No, it's not old. I don't think it's old. But
no, it's not.
For my first ever marathon, a lot of people get into this a lot younger.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was well into weightlifting, not really ever into running, but like I've just become hooked in the last sort of 2 years.
But we've had some like challenges with that because we had the storms.
Yep.
So we had hurricanes for like 5-6 weeks ish. We had no power for 3 weeks. We were just dealing with things falling apart and like flooding. So you didn't really get to train properly. We had to really dial it down.
No excuses though.
I know, but
work on your swimming. Work on your swimming.
It got a little bit challenging.
Yeah, Carlos said 37. Bless his heart. Yeah, it's a baby. It's a baby. Okay, so you want to run a sub 3-hour marathon. That's your goal.
That's my goal.
All right. What about you, Hallie?
All right. Well, I actually have a little list of goals. It's quite a big list
Okay.
of goals. But I'm giving myself some grace. I'm probably going to have to like step it back for a few months before I try to attempt all of these again. But a lot of these are like weighted goals.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Weightlifting goals.
Weightlifting goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like weighted, like okay, kind of.
Oh,
like,
no. Like basically sometime between 2026 to 2027, I would really like to get back. So I used to be able to do 140 kilo deadlift. So now I'm aiming for 120 because I haven't done it consistently. And then, for example, 75 kilo front squat, 50 kilo lunge, 60 kilo bench. That would be insane because I remember when I used to find the bar so hard. I'd like to be able to. Oh, I already hit that. Bicep curl 15 kilo. I'm on that.
Look at that. You passed the goal and didn't even realize it.
Didn't even know. What else do I have? Oh, I'd like to run a 6-minute mile, which I was working towards before we had the mold exposure. And now I think I'm probably going to have to aim for that for 2027. But yeah, basically like some of them are speed goals. Some of them are weight goals. 15 kilo pull up.
I want my goal actually for 2026 is to bench press 150 kilograms, so twice my body weight. Because at the moment I'm 140, but I want to do that as well as running.
But still running there.
Yeah,
that'd be impressive. Nice.
Yeah, to have both. Like I don't want to just like put all my eggs into running.
Yeah.
And lose strength. Like I want to kind of be able to maintain it, if not actually advance my strength. So. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, so quite a lot of little goals, but I find like the
fantastic
fun.
So we're gonna. So now I'm gonna tell you, Hallie, I need you to push that deadlift goal. It's got to be 140. I need it to be 142.5 kilos.
Okay.
Or 143. 143. And the reason for that is because So the goal you told me was 308 pounds,
Uh-huh.
but it'll be 315. So it's 345-pound plates if it's 140,
Okay.
if 143. So
Okay.
the math will still work, but you won't be
Okay.
using like the two big plates and then the little plates. We don't have time for that. We're gonna use all three
All
20
big.
kilo plates.
All of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 20 kilo. Oh, you can do it. 3
All
20
right.
kilo plates. All right. So let's go ahead and scratch out whatever you wrote down, and you're gonna
All
put
right.
140.
1, 2.
You got
All
you
Yeah.
got to aim high.
All right.
Yeah, that's it, because I know you can do it. And part of that is, so number one, a huge part of deadlifting is just believing you can do it.
Yeah.
You have to believe that the
Oh,
weight
I should mention
is going to
these
come
are
off
my
the floor.
3 rep goals because I don't do 1 rep maxes.
That's fine.
3
So
rep max.
I'm gonna have
3
to
rep
do
max.
that for 3 reps.
Exactly. Now we're on the same page. Good. I feel good.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, as I was saying, so a lot of it is just believing that you can,
Yeah.
you know, especially with the deadlift, because, you know, once you started moving, the second and third repetition are easier because it's moving. But a lot of times you have to just believe that when you start pulling on it, that it's going to leave the floor.
Mm.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe it's going to leave the floor, you'll stop pulling
Yeah.
before you break the surface tension, right? So I believe you can do it. I know you can do it because I've watched you deadlift in your videos. I'm like, oh yeah, everything's organized, as they say. It's there. It's just a matter of, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
pushing the
definitely
floor.
say that's
That's
my
it.
my most fearful lift. Still,
Yeah.
I'm still scared of
Nah, you can
deadlifts
do it.
and squats because, well, obviously because I know where my back has been in the past.
Sure.
So
But
it's,
gradually, do it
gradually,
gradually.
I'm
and
so
you'll-
like-
Yeah, I mean, I don't want you to try it tomorrow, but I mean, yeah, but I know you can do it.
Very- I do understand that when I keep deadlifts in my program and I'm strict with them,
Yeah.
I feel 10 times better.
Yeah, and it goes up. So I mean, like, where are you now?
I'm at like 90 for 8.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah. Because
Yeah.
so then the thing with I mean, like, if you were specifically doing it, you would obviously taper down. You know, the reps would go down and you just make slow micro jumps or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's not even, especially
I've
because
not
you did it
deadlifted in
before.
So
But
Yeah,
but
I've
especially you've
done
done
it
it before. And I think one of the thing that I think is, now we're talking about a little bit off a tangent, but it's like one of the other things that I think is underrated as a deadlift accessory is just heavy loaded carries, because your body, your core, a lot of it is just your core needs to be strong. You do a lot of the hollow core hold. You do those all the time. That's a huge one because that's
yeah.
the top. That's almost the top lockout of the deadlift. So as long as you're doing those foundational things,
Yeah.
and you believe the weight's going to move and your mechanics are
Yeah.
good, it's going to happen, because it's not like
Yeah.
your legs lose the strength, you know? So yeah, you just got to believe it'll happen. Keep your arms long, push the floor away, stand up.
Okay.
That's it. Repeat two more times. Carlos said, my goal is a 300-pound bench press. So that's roughly what it's a little bit lighter than what you said your goal was, Callum. So that's 136 kilos roughly.
Nice.
So he's working on that. He's really close to it too.
Wow.
And even with him, it's another thing too. It's like a technique thing, because we had someone else come on and he gave some some bench press tips. Carlos implemented those tips and the weight just started going up because he changed how he was doing it. Because it's all just, you know, it's not just yanking. So that's cool. Well, guys, I'm gonna let you get out of here. I appreciate you spending some time with us. Stay safe, stay away from the avalanches, and try not to, you know, run in snowstorms with your hair out or whatever. You know who I'm talking to, Callum, you know. But before you go, once again, let everybody know where they can find you. I know that we are streaming to your YouTube channel, but give them your Instagram and everything else so people are able to find you guys.
Yeah, so you can find me at Halinka Hart on Instagram, and Callum is
Callum Watson PT on Instagram.
Yeah, and then our website's just flowmotionfitness.co.uk, and
YouTube is
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's here.
And you'll find everything as well. You'll find us through our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Perfect. Appreciate you guys for being here once again, and let your dog know I appreciate the dog, you know, letting us borrow you for a little bit. You definitely got to come back on the show again. If you guys are watching right now and you have any questions that, maybe you're watching on replay. Shout out to the replay gang. You had some questions that were not addressed. Put them in the comments on whichever channel it is that you're encountering this. Just put them in the comments, and Holly and Colin can check it, can see those questions and answer them for you. Okay. If it's on my channel and I see the question and it's for Holly and Colin, I'll reach out to them, get those answers for you guys, and let you know. All right.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
you guys for being here. Oh, heck yeah. You guys got an open invite to come back anytime.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
All right. See you. Bye. All right. So that was Holly and Colin. Those are my mobility coaches. You see they're kind of going through it a little bit because of the bad weather. It's funny because they were in Spain and flooding hit. So they had to leave Spain and go to France to get away from the bad weather. And they got there and snowstorms hit. And so, yeah, they've had a little bit of some challenges, but I will post you can actually get the Flow Motion Fitness app in the App Store, or I will post the link to it from their website so you guys can download it. And here, I'll just go ahead and post it in the live chat here so you guys can grab it if you are interested in it. I've been using it. I think there are a lot of things you can spend your money on, but this one is not only inexpensive, but it's also very valuable. And it kind of takes the guesswork out of all of my mobility work. And I can just save my energy for programming my, powerlifting focused training and not even worry about the rest of it. So we got one more answer to the question of the day. This is from Kevin. He said, train and continue. Ignore the people asking why you do it. Eventually they will ask you how you did it. And that is 100% correct. All right. So that's it for today's show. Thank you to my wife, Naomi, for joining me today. Thanks also to my guests, Tanner and Tommy from Massonomics, and Holly and Colin from Flow Motion Fitness for joining us, because they, along with you guys who are watching, are the reason why the show was a success. Make sure you check everybody out who I just mentioned. And if they ask you how you found out about them, tell them Garage Gym Life sent you. Next week, we've got powerlifting coach Sammy Seebach on at 8 a.m. Eastern time. He's going to be answering your training questions. Sammy was NASA Athlete of the Year, I believe, in 2017. And he's been coaching a lot of very strong athletes. So I'm happy he'll be coming by to share some of his expertise with us. He's also a physical therapist in addition to being a powerlifting coach. So just some more perspectives that'll help you guys get better, get stronger, be a little bit more dangerous. All right. So don't forget to tune in to Mailbag Mondays every Monday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time on the Garage Gym Life Media YouTube channel. I've got a question already in the hopper to answer a question and that question was submitted by Harrison. He's asking a question on one of the X-Master Fitness GHDs. So we're going to answer that question. Also have an answer to a comment that PJ made when I interviewed him. PJ from Design Build Lift made when I interviewed him. We're going to answer that question or respond to that question on Mailbag Mondays this coming Monday. So it's going to be a good time. But until next week, keep on sharing the link to this show, the link to this channel, and keep stacking days. Okay? Peace out.